You know, you can't have a discussion on guns in Virginia without Philip Van Cleve. He's the president of the VCDL. And Philip Van Cleve, you've been around forever. You've been fighting this battle forever. I don't think in your lifetime you ever saw what you're seeing right now, Philip. Help our panel here at the Virginia Gang decipher what's going on with gun ownership in Virginia. Philip Van Cleve, by phone, president, VCDL.
Hey, by the way, John Reed, I have no tats either, so we're both free of tattoos. Um, Anyhow, yeah, this is boy. They're going for the gusto, as the Democrats are, and we've got bills going in all different directions. But the things that the ones that really want, there's a ton of bad ones that we're going to prioritize. Some of the really bad ones. One is a permit to purchase. Now that sounds pretty innocuous, right? Yeah, it's a little permit to buy a gun. Well, yeah, except you've got to get training, and they require more training for that just to buy a gun than they do to carry a gun concealed. And finding somebody to offer the course is going to be next to impossible because it also requires live fire. You have to shoot at least 10 rounds. Now, how'd they come up with 10? Was that a scientific formula? No, it was the number of fingers on their hands. So, and you got to do that, which means that the teacher that's trying to teach you this course, you can buy a gun, has to have some affiliation with the range. We don't have that many ranges, and this is going to affect on July 1. If this passes, 2.5 billion to 3 million gun owners will immediately have to do this kind of thing if they plan on buying any more guns in Virginia. So you got that. Then once then you have to get fingerprinted. So like a criminal, you go down to get fingerprinted. Then you turn in your paperwork, and they have 45 days to process it. Now, keep in mind, let's just say that you had an emergency. You found out that your ex-spouse was going to kill you, and you knew they meant it, that this was really dangerous, and you needed to get a gun right now. Well, good luck. If you don't already have one, now you're going to have to wait about 2 months. So if you can survive that, the spouse must have given up on killing you. So that's one that we're watching. And again, it's meant to chill gun rights. People are going to go, it's too much trouble. That's exactly what they want you to say. That's exactly what they want. They want to cut back on gun ownership. Number two is an assault weapon ban that includes a magazine ban. They've got two versions of this. In the Senate, it's not grandfathered, the magazines. On July 1, if the Senate bill were to go through, on July 1, any magazine you have that's over 10 rounds would be a Class 1 misdemeanor for each and every one. A lot of us have 20, 30, 40 of those things or more because that's the standard magazine you get with guns. So those would immediately be contraband on July 1. And nobody in the state's going to want to buy them from you because they're going to be contraband.
Right.
So they're doing that. And then they're going to make it so, yeah, you can hang on to your quote-unquote assault rifle, but you can't sell it. And you can't buy any more after July 1. So, you can hand it down to certain people in your immediate family, but that's about it. So your guns, once something happens to you, in fact, you can't sell them. So that if you needed the money, you wanted to sell one of your guns, you couldn't do it. So, this is really out of control. Then they've got a thing where you can sue anybody that's got anything to do with guns, anything. I mean, a guy that makes holsters or whatever. He could be sued if a criminal used one of his products to commit a crime. Could be open to lawsuits. And again, they want to chill the effect of manufacturers selling these things. They're trying to get us from every angle. Oh yeah, you got a Second Amendment, but try and find somebody that'll sell you a gun. Oh, and look, you have to wait 2 months just to buy that gun, and then you can't carry in hospitals anymore. You can't carry here. You can't carry there. So it's an all-out attack on the Second Amendment, and it's all hands on deck.
What do you think of all this, John Reed?
I'm hoping that there are legal precedents out there to take this out. The problem is you got to get into court and you got to spend a lot of money and you got to burn a lot of time. And I'm certain that the Democrats have a plan to stretch this out as long as they possibly can. And the frivolous lawsuits. I mean, people always think that everybody's heart is pure. I have no doubt that as soon as some of these things pass and become law, that you'll start to see frivolous lawsuits that will be designed to bankrupt anybody who has any connection to gun manufacturing or the gun community. And, you can only sustain a certain amount of this. This is why this election in November was a tragedy for Virginia, because I think a lot of this stuff is going to go through and it's going to do a lot of harm. And as someone who was threatened regularly when I was a candidate, and my friends who were cops said, man, I hate to tell you this, you better go get a bulletproof vest if you're still going to go campaign the way I think a local candidate should, face to face, shaking hands with people. And have a weapon in your home in case one of these whack jobs tries to kick in the door in the middle of the night. This is really disturbing to me. And you don't know what that's like until it happens to you. You don't know what it's like until you're the owner of a business and the employee that you're going to have to fire suddenly looks you in the eye and says, you fire me, I'm going to kill you, or I'm going to come to your house and kill your family. Then suddenly you'll say, well, what the hell? I need to get a weapon. And Democrats are preventing people from doing that. That's the reality, and it's going to hurt a lot of people here.
Chris?
John, you were subjected to unparalleled assaults on your character when you were running for office, and threats against your life. I remember during the campaign. Did you wear a Kevlar vest, and did you arm yourself with a firearm while you were out campaigning?
I did go buy the bulletproof vest. I wore it on occasion. I had to buy one for Alonzo, my partner, because people were threatening him too. So whenever we went out together, it was a problem. I have a concealed carry, and I already had a weapon because occasionally people went after me because of my job on TV and radio. I mean, this goes back for a while. Whack jobs go after media people. I probably shouldn't say whether I ever had a gun on me when I was campaigning, but
Gotcha.
Amanda Chase used to always tell everybody,
it's a
I'm
shame
packing.
that you have to resort to that, John.
Yeah.
You
This is
or any
crazy.
politician does.
Lieutenant Governor of
Democratic,
Virginia?
Republican,
Come on.
Independent,
Yeah,
it makes no difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was campaigning and serving in the House, one of the things that stood out to me, for those of you the listeners who don't know, my district was in the western part of the state, very rural part of the Commonwealth, and I was driving over to Highland County, which is extremely rural, very, very low population up in the mountains. And my wife, who's from suburban Baltimore, we were driving on a back road to get to our family farm up there for Thanksgiving. And it was just the two of us. Our kids had gone with my parents ahead of time. So we're just driving, nice casual country day. And she looks up and she goes, what do you do when someone breaks in your house out here? What do you do? I said, what do you mean? She's like, well, how do you protect yourself? I said, well, that's why these people carry guns and why they have guns, because by the time the sheriff gets to your home, it's 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I said, and that, people are concerned about, people breaking in out here as much as they are maybe domestic violence. She goes, okay, well, what else? And I said, well, the big thing out here, quite frankly, are animals. When we start to protect ourselves from the occasional deer or bear or sometimes even mountain lion attack out here, these are real threats. Coyotes coming after your livestock and your dogs or whatever.
Your cat.
Well, not so much. We don't worry about that. And
Feral cat.
kidding. Before I get emails, but I tell you, John, and Joe and Philip, the one that stood out to me the most was when I was in parades or the firemen's carnivals in my district. The number one issue I was stopped on, literally people would grab my arm and they would say, don't take my guns. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't the men, it was the women, because they were the ones who were most concerned about domestic violence. And that's not clearly understood and recognized by people who don't know the reality of that. They're trying to ban guns. I can follow their passion on an issue. I try to get their perspective. But what they don't understand is how many lives it saves and how many women it saves in the process. And I think they are moving way too fast on this issue.
Chris, let me ask you something. There's an old expression that those closest to the governed govern best. In other words, don't let Washington tell Richmond what to do. Don't let Richmond legislators tell the entire state. Let the local city council or board of supervisors determine what is best for the locality.
Federalism.
Do you agree with that? And particularly with guns, you just made a compelling argument that up in that rural county, the people, the electorate, wanted guns. They did not want to have any restrictions. Do you believe that the Board of Supervisors up there should be making those gun laws and not Richmond telling them what to do? And then that works the other way. In Arlington County,
what you'll have is a patchwork of laws, which is difficult to know the difference between Highland County and Hampton Roads, right? What you're going to have, unfortunately, with all these different laws that are passed, are law enforcement officials who are going to refuse to do so. They are not going to obey and enforce a lot of the laws that are coming out of Richmond. And
it also seems like this is an appropriate time to bring in the United States Constitution, that you have a right to defend yourself with a weapon.
Well, yeah, that's going to be the judicial process. But I think from the executive branch function of enforcing the laws that come out of Richmond, with all these changes, you're going to see, and I've already heard clerks of the court who are not going to obey certain laws. That we've heard sheriffs that aren't going to obey certain laws. They're just not going to enforce it. They're going to go, yeah, I'm not telling my guys to go out there and round up all these guns. They're just not going to do it, because why? It's dangerous as hell. Can you imagine going into a guy's house? Hey, I'm here to get all your guns. Guns. There will be gunplay. I mean, let's just not kid ourselves. There's an actuality here that I don't think is being recognized by some of our policymakers.
You know, John Reed makes a good point about the United States Constitution. It might be a good point to let folks know that federal law trumps state law. State law trumps local law. Okay, local board of supervisors trumps for example, a locality and ordinance. But the top law is the United States Constitution. That is the supreme law of the land. So you have the U.S. Constitution, federal law, state law, local law, and that order.
Unless it's directly given by the federal government supremacy clause that says, yes, you can do this, and grants you the authority to do so.
Correct.
Yeah. So we're setting up a constitutional, I wouldn't say crisis, but certainly a conflict that's going to happen. And I hope it doesn't get even more violent than I think it's going to be.
And I would be impressed.
John Fredericks, is Philip still on the line?
Yes.
Philip?
Yeah.
I got to first of all, Philip, I got a question, but I want to say hello. I saw you for almost a decade and a half in the General Assembly. I still look just as good as I did the first day that I went into the House.
Ayes and nays.
So here's my question to you, Philip. The nurse out in Minneapolis, Alex Petrie, Petrie, had a concealed gun on him, and he had a concealed gun permit. He had two magazines. He was deemed to be a terrorist and a clear and present danger to law enforcement. He never drew his weapon, but he had it on him. Was Petrie doing anything wrong by having those guns on him, and were they wrong to throw him down and take his gun away? Philip?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think he was allowed to do that, but sometimes there are things where we say it's not a good idea. You can do it, but it's not a good idea. Not if you're going to be in any way confronting the police. If you're just there to stand there and hold a sign or something, well, no harm, no foul. But so what he did was probably under the line of stupid there. But the way the government reacted, they immediately called and said, "Oh, he was attempting to massacre. His plan was to massacre police officers." There was no evidence of that whatsoever. So we had again, Attorney General and stuff coming out and basically saying stuff that there was no concrete proof of, and saying, "Oh, well, you can't carry at a rally." That depends on the state you're in. Most states allow that. Again, would I have done what he did? No. But would I have carried? I probably wouldn't have gone to that kind of protest. But if it was just a regular rally, I would definitely have carried if it was legal.
The reason I brought that up, John Fredericks, is because a lot of gun rights advocates and enthusiasts are saying that, Petrie did absolutely nothing wrong. He was out there carrying a gun, irrespective of the fact there was two magazines. And it's kind of interesting that he's being criticized on one side for being a Democrat
Well, he had a
Democratic,
concealed carry permit.
activist.
He had
And
a
then-
concealed carry permit. Purpose of a concealed carry permit is to conceal your weapon. He didn't. So that's number one. So I don't know why it was not concealed so people could see it. That's dumb. But the second thing is you're supposed to have on your concealed carry permit on you when you have concealed carry. You're supposed to have your license on you when you're carrying a gun like that in a public sphere. He had neither. He was also in the we find out now, in the ICE database, because 11 days prior to that, he had a physical altercation with an ICE agent. So the guy was known to not be shy of being aggressive and violent towards ICE agents. That's why he was in the database. They knew who he was. They asked him to go on the other side of the street. He didn't do it. They had to take his gun away. He asked them to just give it to them. He didn't. They had to forcibly take it. I mean, just one thing led to the other. Now the communists are setting this guy up as some kind of an ICU martyr, that he was like a hero in the.
He's a crazy. He's a
the
nut.
guy's a crazy SOB.
Overzealous.
He quit his job and in order to be a full-time paid protester. I mean, who the hell does that? I'm sorry, he's dead. I don't want anybody to be shot this way, but his father told him, the night before, don't go there. You're looking for trouble. I said this on the air all week. My dad's a blue collar worker, since dead, punched the clock his whole life, high school education. One thing he told me when I was an adolescent, he said, son, don't go looking for trouble because I guarantee it will find you. I mean, he went looking for trouble. He's got guns on him. I mean, come on, man. Now all of a sudden he's a martyr. Sorry he's dead. Sorry for the whole thing.
You have the right to carry the gun to protect yourself. You don't have the right to carry the gun to go and get into a scuffle with the cops. If he had had a pair of scissors in his pocket and the cops felt the scissors, this would have ended badly. Maybe not with him dead, but I mean, this guy, if he, to Philip's point, he'd been standing on the sidewalk with some nasty sign, all the new Democrats love to have the F word in public all over their signs and think they're so cute and clever. Had he done that, screamed, we wouldn't be talking about it, because they do that all over the place. I find it unappealing, but you have a right to do it. What you don't have a right to do is go and get into a scuffle with the cop and assume that there are not going to be any consequences to that. And if you threaten the cop, whether it's me, whether it's you, white, black, young, old, gay, straight, whoever you are, it's going to go badly for you. Maybe not with your death, but it's going to go badly.
John, I got to jump off here, but the only point I would make, pulling back from all this, is these people up in Minnesota are not protesting; they are provoking. They are intentionally provoking and trying to create viral moments that capture the issue and pivot it away from the real problem in this country, which is people who are here illegally taking advantage of our charity and our generosity. And it's time for the American public to just deal with the facts and make good policy decisions and enforce the law. And that's simply what they were doing, not unlike what Barack Obama and Bill Clinton did.
Well
with
said.
that, I'm going to wish you a very great weekend. Cheers.
Well
buddy.
said, Chris.
Thank you.
Am I going to see you tomorrow? Chris,
Yeah, man.
on
Godzilla wins. Godzilla wins.
We'll see Chris tomorrow. Godzilla wins 9 to 11 a.m. Don't want to miss that. We got Super Bowl coming up. We got a bunch of coaching changes. We've got McCarthy going to the Steelers. Good choice. We've got 2 coaches going to the Titans. I'm very happy about those. So we got a lot to talk about coaching thing. We got Bill Belichick getting a snubberoo. Wow. See what I think, John? You know what I think? I think these writers were jealous. Say, look at that, like 21-year-old, I don't know how old this. This young little girlfriend he's got. And they're like, ooh.
24.
24.
Oh, boy.
73,
Here we
24.
go.
I don't
think
see any
them
problem.
Old sports writers are all a bunch of old men that vote on this thing. I think they're jealous, right?
There you go.
That's
Wish
right.
they were him.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's won 8
lot of these
Super
awards.
Bowl rings, John. And John, 8 Super Bowl rings, and he's denied a first. And that's an honor in of itself to be a first-time ballot winner. Do you
I
follow
don't know
me?
how you deny him that.
We all know he's going on the Hall of Fame, but he should have been a first-time award winner.
Hey,
I gotta go.
Jump. Well, we
I'll
both
see you,
gotta
Joe.
jump.
Go ahead,
You guys
John.
have a great weekend. Stay
All right, Joe.
warm, stay dry, stay safe, and don't walk quickly on the ice. Cheers.
All right. Bye,
No
Joe.
pun
Thank you.
intended.
John Reed, you can take us out here.
Okay, last thought. And people forget, I lived in the Middle East and was doing work in the Middle East, interesting consulting work in the Middle East during the Arab Spring. Here's the ugly reality of what's happening in the United States. It's the same situation. This is a coordinated effort to destabilize the United States government and take it down. And I hate to tell you this too. Revolutions love to have dead people that they can put on signs and manipulate people's emotions. This is standard practice. I watched it happen in the Middle East. I'm telling you, that's what's happening in our own backyard. And we need to call it out and not be emotionally manipulated. It's time for Republicans, especially, to have a spine and understand the game that's being played and not back down. Or it's really going to be bad for all of us going forward. Doesn't mean abuse anybody, but don't back down. This is a time to stand strong.
Is Republicans and standing strong an oxymoron?
Better not being. Really.
John Reed. Go to the Reed Revolution, baby. Podcast, the Reed Revolution. Soon, we're going to get a deal worked out. John Reed, the Reed Revolution. All right. Godzilla wins tomorrow. Don't want to miss that. 9 to 11 a.m. The best sports and analysis and pick show. And by the way, I was on fire in the playoffs. I lost 2 games. I don't know how many there were, 12? Against the spread, I lost 2 games. 2. Chargers over New England, and another game I lost. I think it was I took the Texans. Both games New England beat me. I lost 2 games. I was 10-2. Not bad. So I'm on a roll. Haven't lost a hockey bet since last week. I'm on fire. Check us out. 9 to 11 a.m. Godzilla wins tomorrow. Want to thank everybody for being with us. Coming up next, Michael Patrick Leahy, TGIF. Thanks for being with us today.